So we're doing good. This is the others. Okay, when it comes to this others here, I will have you, the only thing I'm going to have you identify when it comes to the others is what the neurotransmitter does, excite or inhibit, and a specific example. Okay, we're not going to get into the whole mechanism of it, okay, like we did with acetylcholine or epinephrine, the catecholamines. Okay. All right, because we will see a lot of these here when we get into memory a lot, and we get into a lot of the physiological activity within the brain. So that's why we're going to mention these and kind of what they do here. So glutamate is another amino acid, and we see a lot of this in terms of memories, helping to form memories. Glutamate is always excitatory. Okay. Glutamate is excitatory. You can. This is probably the most abundant excitatory neurotransmitter we have in the brain. Is glutamate. It stimulates a number of ionic channels. There are a number of various different types of receptors for this thing for glutamate to bind to, but it is ionotropic. I guess I'll write that down. It is ionotropic. All right. So it is excitatory, and you're going to see it a lot in memory. Right. So when glutamate gets released, it stimulates the neurons. That helps to strengthen up these connections within that region of the brain involved with memories. And they help with the recall as well. Okay? They help with recall as well. There are a couple major neurotransmitters when it comes to being inhibitory in nature. Glycine and GABA are both in that realm. Okay. Get a bunch of things. I don't know what's going on. So glycine is inhibitory. So that's generally what you're thinking. Right? Glycine is unique in that it's really within the spinal cord. It's very prevalent within the spinal cord. You have one kind of prevalent within the spinal cord, and GABA is involved with the brain. So glycine is the most prominent inhibitory neurotransmitter associated with the spinal cord. And it opens those chloride ion channels. Okay? It doesn't deal with potassium. It opens up chloride ion channels. So, if we're inhibitory, then we're obviously hyperpolarizing it, making it more negative. So it makes it a hell of a lot harder to get the threshold. Okay? So we inhibit stuff. And, there's a fantastic example there. Okay? Triceps are contracting, and my biceps relaxed. Okay? Yeah, my biceps relaxed. Okay? So that's an example of glycine being interactive. We'll see it involved with muscular balance. We'll see glycine as well with breathing. So it'll be involved with the diaphragm to ensure breathing happens properly. So it's what inhibits the diaphragm from contracting to get it to relax. GABA, that's what it stands for. I'm just going to put GABA on the exam. Gamma aminobutyric acid. Okay. I'll just put GABA on the exam. Okay. This is the most common inhibitory neurotransmitter in the brain. Where we inhibit a lot of times with acetylcholine, norepinephrine, and epinephrine by opening up potassium channels. Here, these neurotransmitters, and they're amino acid based. That's why they're here. But with these, glycine and GABA, glycine more common in the spinal cord, GABA more common in the brain, they open up those chloride ion channels. This helps to regulate a lot of, like glycine did, muscle balance, right? When my bicep contracts, my tricep is relaxed. When my tricep contracts, my bicep relaxes. Okay? GABA is affecting the brain, so it's going to affect those upper motor neurons associated with in the somatic motor cortex. Okay, it's going to affect fine tuning of it in the cerebellum. So Huntington's disease is from those cerebellar cells being destroyed to help coordinate those learned muscular movements, right? So with that disease, you lose these GABA cells, okay? These GABA secreting cells. And you can't control the antagonistic muscle.
You froze again. It was just for like a minute, but it cut that
Just
what
a
you were
minute?
saying in like half. Yeah. I like the back very half what you're saying about GABA.
What did you hear? What's the last thing you heard before I went?
It was inhibitory and it opens up these chlorine channels and then it like cut out and then you came back.
Okay. Well, here, let's try it. Okay. It's involved with motor control. Okay. I believe that's what I was saying. And if you lose your GABA, okay, this will affect the ability to inhibit those upper motor neurons there in that somatic motor cortex. Okay. It also will affect the neurons involved with muscle memory, and that's Mr. Cerebellum. And in Huntington's disease, you get a destruction of those GABA secreting cells within the cerebellum specifically. I won't ask you Huntington's disease. I'm just giving an example of it. Okay. GABA, what do you need to know? It's an inhibitory neuron. Inhib. Okay. It's the most common inhibitory neurotransmitter in the brain. It's involved with opening chloride ion channels, just like glycine. And it's involved with helping to control motor. Bicep contracts, tricep is relaxed. And the tricep contracts, elbow. Bicep relaxes. So it's involved with that antagonistic muscle. Okay. It works to kind of help you interact with the world. The next couple slides here are kind of interesting in terms of we have a number of various different polypeptides. Again, I'm going to highlight what I want you to know about these suckers. Okay. CCK is a neuropeptide. CCK is cholecystokinin. Cholecystokinin. And it gets released to help the brain interpret satiety. And satiety is contentment. Contentment. You feel good when you've eaten enough. Okay. Have you ever eaten a lot of food and then you kind of keep shoveling it in? You go from feeling, oh, I'm pretty good, but man, I love these mashed potatoes. And you take another, bushel of mashed potatoes and you shove them in. And next thing you know, you're like, oh, you're so painful. You're like, why did I do that? That is obviously gone past. You've ignored cholecystokinin. Okay. So cholecystokinin is a chemical that gets released by certain cells that says, you got a lot and you feel good about yourself right now. Stop eating. Substance P. I mentioned substance P because I believe we're going to talk about pain a little bit later and how we modulate it, how we affect it, how it gets transmitted and stuff. And substance P is what helps to enhance our perception of pain. Okay. Mediates sensations of pain. It helps to bolster it. Neuromodulators. The only thing I want you to know about neuromodulators, because we're going to talk about these when we talk about memory. Oops. Neuromodulators are going to help with this ability to form memories. I don't know why my mouse keeps doing that. Helps us to form memories. Okay. This ability to enhance a nerve's ability to fire is referred to as synaptic plasticity. I can make a nerve fire quicker, fire a heck of a lot more easier by modulating it, by affecting it. We have a whole host of neuromodulators, and I mean, acetylcholine, norepinephrine. I mean, we've seen these before. They do a number of things. I'm just keeping a blank term, neuromodulators, because there's more than that. These neuromodulators can make it easier for a nerve to fire. When you learn how to write your name, when you learn how to do stuff, when you learn how a nerve impulse conducts, it's these neuromodulators that get released that affect the nerve to fire easier. When you fire easier, you make a connection stronger. You make a connection stronger in the regions associated with memory. You make a memory from short to long term. And the more you go back and look at that, the more you modulate that nerve groups. And the stronger that memory becomes. Okay. So neuromodulators are going to be really important when it comes to helping us to make memoirs. Opioids are fun. Endogenous opioids are fun. Anyway, okay. Endogenous means you made them. Endo means within. So endogenous opioids are opioids that you produce. Exogenous would be stuff that, from the outside. Opium, morphine. Okay, I'm sure you could think of some more. These opioids help you to feel good. I mean, euphoria means you feel good. They can help with getting out of pain, getting rid of pain, because you are your own kind of medicine cabinet, and these opioids are it. And our understanding of these opioid receptors has just boomed over the last 10, 20 years as we try to figure out, are opioids the gateway to drugs and drug use and whatnot. So there are a lot of these opioids. Literally, I believe it is every cell in the body has an opioid receptor, they're finding out. And what they do is very multifaceted. They help you to feel good. They help you to get out of pain. They can make you feel good after exercising. The endorphins that get released, these opioids that get released after a good workout, they make you feel good. They're involved with memory. There's some memory components associated with them. All right. So they could do a number of things. Maybe we'll talk about a little bit of them when it comes to pain and helping to get us out of pain and whatnot. So maybe we'll talk a little bit of them, about them there in that regard. Euphoria, feel good. Two more. If I have cholecystokinin making you feel content, full, neuropeptide Y would be the opposite of that. Neuropeptide Y, and I'm looking at it just from hunger, it's involved, as you can kind of see with everything up there, all right? But it's a huge stimulator of hunger. So neuropeptide Y will get secreted, and that tells the brain, you better go find food, okay? Because I'm really hungry, man, and we need to find it now. Leptin actually inhibits neuropeptide Y. And if you've taken if you've taken my nutrition class, we get into leptin a little bit there because leptin's kind of weird and funky. Leptin is what the body produces when you have sufficient fat stores. And if you have sufficient fat stores, that means you have sufficient stores from which to pull upon to sustain yourself. Okay. So fat cells will secrete that leptin, which inhibits neuropeptide Y and causing you to not go eat all the time. In patients who are obese, they're finding that it's kind of like a diabetic. They're insensitive to leptin, right? So with obese people, obviously they have a ton of fat stores. So all of these fat cells are producing that leptin. And they're producing this leptin, and the body's like, you know what? I don't believe you. I don't hear you. There's so much of you. I can't ignore you. I can ignore you. Yeah. Yep. Oh, yeah. Yeah. No. I get it. And then it just blocks it out. And this helps to stimulate neuropeptide Y, and that stimulates these individuals to keep go eating. So neuropeptide Y and leptin kind of can go hand in hand in this concept of this is why it is very, very hard sometimes, most times, for people who are obese or severely obese to lose weight because they have so much leptin being produced that the body just doesn't hear it. And it requires more and more leptin for it to hear it. And that can affect neuropeptide Y secretion. So if the brain is not registering leptin at all within the system, then it's going to keep secreting neuropeptide Y, and these individuals go and eat and eat and eat.
Clarification. So neuropeptides are just more neurotransmitters. Then you give us just two specific examples.
Mm-hmm.
And then for neuromodulators, you just want us to know that they're really big in memory.
Just neuromodulators, okay? Because I gave a couple examples of acetylcholine there, but I mean, hell, acetylcholine is literally where?
Everywhere.
Everywhere. So just call them neuromodulators, all right? Because there are ATP can be a modulator, neuromodulator, ADP could be a neuromodulator. Some chemicals can be a neuromodulator. Nitric oxide can sometimes be a neuromodulator in some degree. There's a number of paracrine secretions that could be neuromodulators. So there's just so many of them. I don't care that you know.
Right, but the biggest thing you just wanted us to know is that it helps with memory. It helps.
Yep.
With that.
Yep.
Plasticity.
Yep, because it helps a nerve to fire. Okay. And when it comes to memory, as we'll find out in the next chapter, the easier that those nerves can fire, the more stronger a connection I can make between the nerves, and that helps us to form a memory. And it's because of those neuromodulators. It modulates the nerve to make it easier to fire. Okay. Okay. The last one, I'm not going to talk about carbon monoxide here. I'm going to talk about carbon monoxide when we talk about the cardiovascular system and what it can potentially do. Nitric oxide is a pretty cool thing. Nitric, I don't know why that came out, can activate a lot of G-coupled protein receptors, so a lot of secondary messenger systems. And depending upon the cell, we get a multitude of various different things that can occur with nitric oxide. Nitric oxide can be involved to be a paracrine secretion that tells adjacent cells to be ready for an invasion. So you'll see it a lot involved with the immune response. Okay, and that's where obviously the kill bacteria comes in. And we also see it with a lot of blood vessel dilation. And nitric oxide is going to be a pretty potent vasodilator. Okay. It gets secreted within the digestive tract, respiratory tracts to open those tracts up. Most famously, I mean, it works in the penis. And that's what Viagra triggers. Triggers nitric oxide release. That helps to vasodilate the blood vessel down there within the penis. And that's what causes that thing to engorge with blood. Okay. It is, it is a vasodilator. So if you do take it to get an erection, if your heart's not healthy enough, the reason why is because it's a vasodilator. So it's going to open up blood vessels in a lot of locations. Okay. And if your heart's not an effective pumper to pump that blood up to the brain, you can't have the erection. If you take multiple doses, if you take 200, 300 milligrams of Viagra, it's going to vasodilate. Okay. Yay, you can get a hard-on, an erection, sorry. But you're going to vasodilate your head, man. All those blood vessels are going to open up, and it's going to cause you to have a massive, massive headache, assuming your heart's safe enough for sex. If it's not, it's going to vasodilate. It's going to be so open, you're not going to be able to generate enough force to get up to your head, to your brain. You're going to pass out. If you took 300 milligrams of Viagra, you'd probably pass out too, I'd imagine. I don't know. I mean, I've never taken it, so I don't really know. But it is the weekend, so try something for science. And here you can kind of see all the fun stuff.